What is going on, degenerates? Kyle here from Sports Pulse, bringing you guys another UFC betting guide. My voice is a little shot right now, but that's alright. We're going to work through this. Now, this card is a little interesting. Canada cards always go one of two ways. Either the Canadians get swept or they sweep. Generally, they've not had the best of luck. And, yeah, if you want to join the Discord, absolutely free. We talk about plays in there. We talk about bets. We got prize picks, underdog, all that stuff in there. We're betting on everything. Bet on hockey, baseball, football, fucking everything, man. And then especially martial arts. That's my specialty. That's where my expertise lies. Also do pretty well in the NFL. Just going to put that out there. But that's free to join down below. Why not? Why not? It's absolutely free. Let's get into these, Let's get into the card here, man. We're starting off with Jamie Lynn Horth versus Ivana Petrovic. This fight, nobody really cares about this fight. It's opening for a reason. It's going the distance. Jamie Lynn Horth, a little bit of a wide favorite, sitting about that minus 180 mark right now. I haven't been too impressed with anything Ivana Petrovic has done so far. It was actually kind of weird. Ivana opened up as a minus 180 favorite. The line did a complete 180. Now Jamie Lynn Horth is the big favorite. I'm personally not going to play anything on it, but I do think Jamie Lynn Horth has better game sense in terms of knowing where she's at. Better fight IQ, I guess is a better term to use there. I think she's able to recognize her flaws. You see her in the corner. Like, she's not even relying on her coaches. She's talking herself through her flaws in the game plan. And I don't necessarily think that I can trust her with the minus 180 price tag, but I do think she should win this fight. It'll be by decision. Next fight up here, we have another Canadian in Chad Anheliger taking on Cody Gibson. In my opinion, this is a very low-level fight. Cody Gibson, 2-5 in the UFC. His first stint, unfortunately, he had his debut fight against Aljamain Sterling. Just nothing you can do about that, man. That sucks. That sucks. That's not a good way to come into the UFC. Then he went 1-3 in that stint. He got cut, came back throwing the Ultimate Fighter, fought that Fight of the Year contender against Brad Katona. Phenomenal fight. He ended up losing that one by decision. Loses to Miles Johns. Then he got a win last time out against Brian Kelleher. That was a pretty impressive win, but it is Brian Kelleher. Obviously, you do have to understand that. And on the Chad Anheliger side, last time out, he went to a decision with Charlampos Gregorio, who we learned recently is not good at all. Charlampos is not the ideal fighter, and not a good look to not be able to get him out of there with how bad he gassed out in his last fight against a guy that he should have beaten every day of the week. It does seem, however, that every time Chad Anheliger fights someone who is a little bit taller than him, he's got a bigger frame, like an Alatang Lee who isn't much bigger, but that Jose Johnson. Every time he fights a guy that's a little bit bigger and takes a step up in competition, he tends to lose. He tends to not perform as well. I think Cody Gibson can get this one done. I'm not going to call Cody Gibson by submission, but I do think that's a possibility. I'm looking for more so Cody Gibson by decision. Next fight up, we have the very exciting Sergey City taking on Garrett Armfield. Now, Sergey City was in a Fight of the Year contender, in my opinion, earlier against Ramon Tavares. An absolute war on that Dricus versus Strickland card. I remember watching that one. I was biting my nails because I had some money on Tavares. But I was stressing the whole time. I don't know if Tavares really won that fight. It was kind of like the appearance of the knockdowns versus how do you score the striking. Sergey City didn't stop moving forward. This guy was moving forward that entire fight. He kept the pressure heavy, kept it hot. He did get caught a couple times, ultimately why he lost the fight. But I do think a guy like Sergey City can take on someone, Garrett Armfield here. I see a lot of people saying Garrett Armfield he's going to take him down a million times. I mean, based on what? Garrett Armfield panic wrestles when he's hurt, and he's never landed a takedown in the UFC. I don't see that as his path to victory here. I think he's going to try and stand. I think he's going to try and stand for too long. He might get one takedown. He might get two. I don't think he's going to be a crotch sniffer this fight. I think if he wants to win the fight, he probably should, but I just don't see that happening. I think Sergey City's going to knock him out. Then we got the big boys. Alexander Romanov taking on Rodrigo Nascimento. Last time out, got turned into a jitterbug against Derek Lewis. That'll happen to the best of us, man. Try and stand with Derek Lewis. That will happen to you. And then Alexander Romanov, this guy, you never know, man. You never know at all. He comes in looking how he looks. He came in looking like a stud. He lost to Tybura. Started coming in looking fat as shit. This fight, he actually looks in decent shape, in my opinion. He's still a little chubby. A little bigger than he probably should be. He didn't have to use all 265 pounds to meet that weight limit, which is a good sign for him. I mean, look at the picture, man. He's a fat sack of shit. But I am going to pick him to beat Rodrigo Nascimento via the wrestling, via the submission. Probably that second round I'm going to be targeting myself. I think Nascimento is probably going to jab him up, stick and move for the first round. But I think Romanov is going to be able to close that distance in the second round. He's going to get it going. He's going to get the takedown, and it's going to be wraps from there. Nascimento is making a lot of mistakes in the grappling against Derek Lewis. Yeah, you heard that right. He let Derek Lewis judo throw his ass. You think Romanov's not taking this guy down? You're wrong. All right, give me Romanov by submission. Next up, we have the Welchman, Jack Shore, 17-2, which is a little insane. I thought this guy had a lot worse of a record when I was just kind of doing my little preview earlier in the week. But Jack Shore, he is pretty decent. He is a good fighter. I just don't think that he belongs to this weight class. I think he's always looking a little pudgy. The weigh-ins this time, he didn't look too bad. Last time out against Brito, he looked pretty bad. This time out, not so much. I do think, however, Zalal is going to be able to take this fight over with the grappling pressure that he's developed. Ever since getting cut from his first stint, Zalal has just kind of changed his game plan, changed his approach. Last time out, submitted Jarno Aarons, very impressive submission. And I think he's going to more or less do the same here against Jack Shore. The odds are kind of crazy for Zalal by submission, I'm not going to lie. It's plus 700. They think he's going to land by knockout, which I honestly don't see. If Burrito's not going to spark this guy on the feet, it's going to take a little calf kick. Because remember, that took a calf kick, and then the doctor started fingering Jack Shore's little leg in the open wound, touching the bone and shit. That was freaky, man. That was some weird shit. But I do think Zalal is going to get this one done by submission. Next fight up, we got Charles Air Jourdain taking on Victor Henry. Victor Henry's a little bit on the older side, but I do have to say Charles Jourdain absolutely sucks. This guy has like 6 losses in the UFC at the age of 28. He has 7 losses in the UFC at the age of 28. He just got chinned his last time out. Now he's dropping down in a weight class. It's kind of one of those things where you're wondering, maybe he realized that his skill level isn't there. He's trying to find an edge somewhere else. He's taking that Jose Johnson approach, maybe trying to get an edge at a lower weight class, utilize the size a little bit. He is going to be a little bit bigger than Victor Henry. If he gains all the weight back on the rehydration, he's going to be quite sizably bigger as well, not just in the height. I think this is a little bit dicey for Victor Henry. You put a gun to my head right now, I'm going to pick Victor Henry. I think for how old he is, he's moving quick. He's showing that he can put on the volume. He's going to be lighting up Jourdain all night long. It's going to be nonstop, an onslaught from Henry. But I do worry that Jourdain is going to recover and just be bigger and be able to kind of control him on the cage if he needs to, land those knees. Last time out, took that brutal knockout loss to Gene Silva. And I think Gene Silva probably broke his fucking ribs with those 12-6 elbows that he definitely should not have been able to land. But it is what it is, man. It's Gene Silva. They're going to let him do what he wants. The guy's on a tear. I think Victor Henry, don't be surprised, okay? I want to put this out there right now. Don't be surprised if Victor Henry chins this guy. If the weight cut's bad, he looked okay on the scales. I will say he didn't look like he was on death's doorstep. If the weight cut's bad, Victor Henry could put this guy out, and that's a long shot. Don't actually go and bet that, because that's not going to fucking happen. But if anyone's put anyone out, I think Victor Henry has the potential to put Jourdain out. Next fight up, we have another Canadian, Jasmine Jasudavicius, taking on Ariane De Silva. Now, this fight right here, I think, hinges on one thing and one thing only, and that's whether or not you believe Jasmine can get the takedowns. Me personally, I do believe she can. I was very high on Jasmine in her last fight against Fatima Klein. And guess what? The line fucking flipped for some reason. Everyone thought that Klein was someone she wasn't. I knew she was a fraud. I've seen the tape. She's beating up midgets on the regional scene. Double champion, fought for 2 vacant belts. Not impressive at all. Fighting a chick who literally moved up on short notice from the weight class down to fight for the belt up. It was a mess. Fatima Klein was not that good. All over Jasmine at that plus 140 mark. Just money, man. You can't make that up. That was free money. Now she comes in as a bigger favorite against Ariane De Silva. And I think for good reason. I know Ariane De Silva has relatively decent takedown defense. I think it's around the 70-71% mark. Jasmine has quote-unquote bad takedown accuracy. It's 40% right now stated. And that's heavily skewed by the Tracy Cortez fight. She went 2-10 on takedowns. Guess what? She lost that fight. If Jasmine can get the takedowns, which she's been able to do in every fight recently other than that Tracy Cortez fight, she's going to win this fight, absolutely. I don't think Ariane is going to pull out a triangle, pull out an armbar on Jasmine. I think Jasmine's going to take her down, sit in the guard, sit in half guard, and beat her up from top. This has happened to Ariane De Silva over and over and over. We're looking at Molly McCann, took her down twice, beat her by decision. We're looking at Antonia Shevchenko, took her down once, TKO'd her on the ground. Looking at a loss to Montana De La Rosa, 2 takedowns and a TKO loss. That's not a good look. When you're getting finished like that by Montana De La Rosa, it's not a good look at all. And then obviously the most prevalent example last time out, Karine Silva took her down 5 times, beat her by decision. I think this fight's going to look similar to that. I think Jasmine's going to have fun all night taking her down. Maybe Ariana gets back up. I think Jasmine's going to have a good night taking her down over and over. She showed a little bit of a get-up game against Karine Silva, got up at least twice there. I think Jasmine's just going to take her back down. She doesn't want any part of the striking. I think that's how this fight's going to go. Give me Jasmine by decision. Next up here, we got Amian Zahabi taking on Pedro Munoz, and I want to victory lap right now and tell everyone I picked Zahabi to beat the Basharat. I picked that. I picked him by knockout. Unfortunately, he got it done by decision, so I don't look like a total genius. But he got it done, okay? He got the job done. I knew the Basharats aren't very good. Speaking of which, I got robbed in that last fight card on my plus 3.5 I had on Victor Hugo. He clearly won a round, but whatever. One of the judges didn't see it that way. Is what it is. Pedro Munoz, on the other hand. This guy's getting a little older. He's taken some rough losses recently. He's known for a granite chin. Now, when you're known for a granite chin, that's okay. When you're known for having a granite chin and you're 38, that's when it starts to become a little bit of a problem. Pedro Munoz has never been professionally finished. Amian Zahabi, he wings that overhand right. He can catch anyone on the right day. I don't think he's going to finish this fight, though. On the other hand, I don't think Pedro Munoz is going to be able to finish Zahabi. I think this is going to be a very technical fight. Kind of point fighting from the outside. Zahabi's going to be wailing that overhand right. I think in the last fight, his corner was just screaming every time he landed anything. Some people are saying that helps sway the judges. I'm not too sure about that, but it's fun to watch. And honestly, I think Pedro Munoz, he can fight back here. Pedro Munoz has been holding his own in these fights. Obviously, he lost to Kyler Phillips. Kyler Phillips looked really good in that fight. I don't know what happened in the Rob Font fight there, but I think Pedro Munoz can touch and move on Zahabi here. I think he has a much better experience, albeit he's got some losses coming off 2 losses in a row here. His win recently was against Chris Gutierrez. That was a good version of Chris Gutierrez. That wasn't like some washed or some brand new Chris Gutierrez. I think that was a good win. And I know I picked him to beat Basharat, and now I'm going to pick Pedro Munoz to beat him. I just think styles make fights. And I think Pedro Munoz is going to squeak out maybe a split decision here against Amian Zahabi. Next up, we have the Canadian hometown hero, Mike Malott, taking on Trevin Giles. Mike Malott, obviously, earlier this year, letting the Canadians down in that big letdown against Neil Magny, where he dominated that fight for 14 and a half minutes and then folded with 30 seconds left and let Neil Magny get a finish over him. Trevin Giles has literally fought a bunch of good fighters. Trevin Giles does not have many bad losses, okay? This guy, the story of Trevin Giles, he's always winning until he's not. He was looking real damn good against Carlos Prates. Then he's out. He was looking pretty good against Gerald Meerschaert. Oh, he's choked out. Now, Gerald Meerschaert's made a career out of doing that. Bonfim didn't even give him a chance to get started. Bonfim just hopped up on his neck, submitted him like nothing. Then obviously Morales, it's going to be Morales. He sparked him in the first round. Dricus du Plessis, he was looking all right against Dricus. He wasn't looking good, but he was looking all right. And then Dricus had to put him out. Now, I think that this is going to be more or less the same. I think Trevin Giles has a good chance to win the first. But I think Mike Malott can kind of wear him down with that grappling pace. We have seen these two in the grappling cage together. I don't know if it's a cage necessarily, but on the grappling mats. Went to a decision. Malott won that by decision. I know you could say, oh, he couldn't finish him in the grappling match. What makes you think he's going to finish him here? But I can see a Mike Malott submission. I think when you add in the ground and pound, it just makes... If you're kind of guarding your head from that rear naked choke, you're pulling the arm down. You're using 2 hands to hold the arm, so it's hard to finish the choke. Well, if Mike Malott is going to be punching him, I think that opens up the hands. Obviously makes like a rear naked choke a lot easier. And give me Mike Malott by rear naked strangle. Next fight up here, we got Marc-Andre Barriault, another Canadian, might I say, taking on Dustin Stoltzfus. Now, last time out, Marc-Andre got put cold out by Joe Pyfer, and that rebound win for Joe Pyfer. Dustin Stoltzfus caught a spinning elbow to the face from Bruno Ferreira. 2 very unfortunate ways to go out in your last fights here. It's a battle of the chin victims, a battle of the negative losing UFC records. We got 2-5 for Stoltzfus and 5-7 for Barriault. I know a lot of people are picking this fight to go to the decision. I think Stoltzfus, if he wants to push forward and get the wrestling going, he could see an avenue to success. However, I think Barriault's going to be privy to that. I think Barriault's going to stop the takedowns. And I'm going to go for a very bold prediction here. I'm not seeing a lot of people calling this. I'm going to call Barriault by knockout. I think he can get him. He can hurt him on the feet, knock him down a little bit, get that TKO finish. I don't think he's going out cold. But I think Stoltzfus has historically been more chinny than Barriault, and I think Barriault still hits like a truck. Here we have a very interesting fight. We got Kyle Machado dropping down from heavyweight to take on Brenson Ribeiro. Now, I've said this before, I'll say it again. Brenton Ribeiro is a guy that I put my money on because I know he's going to fight for it. He's going to go to the center, he's going to swing. He might miss, he might hit, but he's going to the center and he's going to swing. I think the cut from heavyweight might be a little bit too much. I think Brenton Ribeiro has a lot of holes in his striking that Machado could expose. I don't see him as good enough to do that, though. I think he just took a very embarrassing loss, and I think Brenton Ribeiro is going to chin the shit out of him. Give me Ribeiro, first round knockout. Now, this fight right here, I have a lot to say, alright? I don't think Jonathan Diniz is good. I think he's trash. I think he's garbage. Everyone talks about his striking. His striking's not that good. His striking's not elite. It's not top tier. It's good. It's not great. Derek Lewis, also good, not great striking. Hits like a truck, though, okay? He just needs one. Now, I'm going to tell you something. I'm going to let this be known right now. Derek Lewis will take down Jonathan Diniz. Derek Lewis will take down Jonathan Diniz. I said that twice for emphasis because I don't think enough people understand this. Derek Lewis in his last fight had a clean-ass judo throw that you could tell that he practiced it. That was clean as can be against Nascimento. Jonathan Diniz isn't going to defend a fucking judo throw. Are you kidding me? Yeah, he prepped for Carl Williams. Then the UFC told Carl Williams not to wrestle or else he was going to be cut. Well, guess what? They cut him when he didn't fucking wrestle anyways, alright? Give it 15, 20 more seconds in that fight, Diniz is getting finished by Carl Williams. Diniz is getting tagged on the feet by Carl fucking Williams, okay? That's the level of striker this guy is. I understand it's heavyweight. There's a possibility he just sparks Lewis by a couple, like a 1-2 down the pipe, because Diniz is going to be quicker. If he stays on the outside and he kicks Derek Lewis's front leg all night, there's nothing you can do about that. You're going to win a decision on him. I think he's going to get a little close. He's going to get too close for comfort. Derek Lewis is going to take him down somehow, some way. And when Derek Lewis gets on top of him, Diniz is not getting up. When Derek Lewis came into that Almeida fight, he had so much shit wrong with him. He was on antibiotics. He had shoulder problems. He had everything wrong with him. He couldn't frame. He couldn't do shit. Worst he's ever looked. He's not going to look that bad again. I think Derek Lewis legitimately is going to lay on Jonathan Diniz and get a ground and pound TKO. Now, I know that's bold. You don't hear anyone else calling Derek Lewis to get a takedown, but that's what's going to happen. That's how this fight's going to go, in my opinion. Give me Derek Lewis, round 2, via ground and pound TKO. Now we're back. Erin Blanchfield let me down last time. Had some money on her. I wasn't thinking with my head. You know, okay? Rose Namajunas used to be great, is only good now. At 125, Rose Namajunas is not the fighter she was at 115. And I think Blanchfield finally has a good matchup. Blanchfield looked terrible in her last fight. She didn't do anything. She couldn't shoot a takedown from range. For some reason, she was scared of Ferro. I mean, that's just a brawlic lesbian standing in front of you. I'd be a little bit afraid, too. Rose Namajunas, former 115er. I think Blanchfield belongs with the 115er. I think this is a great fight. She's going to be stronger than Rose. She's going to take Rose down. If you watch that Ribas fight back with Rose, or even the Tracy Cortez fight, there's multiple positions in those fights where if Erin Blanchfield gets her in that position, the fight is over. You guys don't understand the level that Erin Blanchfield is capable of grappling at and the level of just shit grappling that Rose Namajunas displays. I shouldn't say shit grappling. She obviously knows what she's doing. She's reversing some judo throws and stuff. But it's just the mistakes she's making are not mistakes that you can make when you're going against someone the caliber of Erin Blanchfield. There's just so many times you see Tracy Cortez had Rose's back from the turtle position. Now it's Tracy Cortez. She's obviously not going to do something with that. Ribas had Rose damn near flattened out in like a Darce type of position. If Blanchfield gets that position, this fight is over. This fight is ending via submission. That's why my official prediction is going to be Erin Blanchfield inside the distance by submission. Would I be surprised if this goes 5? No, not at all. I think Blanchfield has a really good shot of getting Rose down and taking that neck out. That's why. Give me Blanchfield. Round 3, submission. Finally, on to the main event. Brandon Moreno taking on Amir Albazi. Amir Albazi coming off of a phenomenal win against Kai Kara France. A lot of people are going to say that he didn't win that fight. I'm not here to argue that. I don't agree. I don't disagree. He showed that he's on par with Kara France, which is very impressive given the fact that I think Kara France is probably his toughest stylistic matchup in the division. Kai Kara France, a dude with some thunder in the hands and some great takedown defense, some of the best takedown defense in the division. Amir Albazi showed that he doesn't need to crotch sniff, just lay on you. He doesn't need to do that to win a decision at the highest levels. Brandon Moreno in his last fight, he looked nothing like his former self. Brandon Moreno looked lost against Royval. Royval lit him up 5 rounds straight. That was not a split decision. Royval clearly won that 4-1 in my opinion. And I think Amir Albazi is in for a win here. I think Amir Albazi is going to take down Moreno. I think he's better everywhere. I think Amir Albazi hits harder. I think he's got more technical striking. I think he's a better wrestler. He almost finished Kai Kara France when he had his back. In the grappling, I think he has an edge over Moreno. I think he could get Moreno out of there via submission. Now, there is something that's cautioning me. Amir Albazi was just on basically death's doorstep, okay? He was almost paralyzed. He opened up about this in the fighter meetings, the press conference thing. He was about dead, okay? He was about paralyzed. He has a titanium neck. You want to guillotine this guy? He has a titanium neck, okay? I don't know what that's going to do for him. I know that he had open heart surgery or something like that. That takes a lot of time away from the game. I know he's been out for a while, so it makes sense. But you got to wonder how that transition back into training was, if he's going to be the same guy he was. He's going to be shooting recklessly and stuff. I think if Amir Albazi looks how he did before having all those surgeries, he's going to wipe the floor with Moreno. He's going to finish him by submission. This fight might be a no bet for me because I need to see how Amir Albazi looks with given all the surgeries. But I do favor him to win this fight still. I do think he can get it done by submission. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you enjoyed the video, drop a like, drop a comment. If you think my takes are shit, let me know in the comments. Boost the algorithm. Tell me I'm shit. Tell me I'm trash. It is what it is. We'll see you at the end of the day. I've been sending out my UFC bets for 22 weeks now since summertime. I have been profitable in 20 of 22 weeks. A lot of people in this space cannot say the same. You see guys taking 10-unit hits all the time. I've never taken a 10-unit hit. My 2 losing nights are less than 5 units combined. Okay? We're not taking hits like that. This is there's no such thing as safe betting in my opinion. But I think we're the closest thing to it. We're betting with consistency. We're betting using our brains. I'm doing a lot of research, a lot of tape study, a lot of looking into the fights. I'm checking out Twitter, checking out Instagram, seeing all these other people, where their money's going, where their heads are at. And I'm making my own opinions, basing it off the odds. It's a whole system, a whole process. It takes the whole week for me. That's why these videos come out later than most channels. And I love this sport, and I'm making it work for me. Come make it work for you too. Come in the Discord, join on up, man. Totally free to join the Discord. And yeah, we'll catch you in the next one, man. Peace out. Hope you guys enjoyed.